We talked about this a couple of days ago, and it was chatted about by teammates of Jimmy G. McGlinchey or something like that, I believe.
Mike McGlinchey.
Mike McGlinchey, an offensive lineman for the 49ers, came out and said beforehand that number 10 can do whatever he wants to do. And he said, just because we win with a run game doesn't mean that people should talk bad about how Jimmy G is a quarterback. And I agree. I think this game manager title that has been handed out to people that has been, I think, supposed to be slander or every quarterback is a game manager. Every single quarterback is put into a system, and they either manage it in a successful fashion or they don't. Jameis Winston was put into a system that is a lot of throwing. It's the Bruce Arians offense. Was he a game manager as well? Because he managed both the Buccaneers team and the other team because he would manage to give them the ball 30 times. Is he considered a game manager, or is it not because he was able to throw the ball 55 times a game? I think this game manager title all started whenever Alex Smith started having success. Everybody was like, Alex Smith, not really a quarterback. He's just a game manager. Every single quarterback is a game manager, and every quarterback's job is to win a game. I think this year the San Francisco 49ers have managed to win games in different fashions. Now, they just beat the Packers handily. I mean, ass beating of the Packers just happened this last weekend, and he only threw the ball 8 times. And everybody's like, well, they're able to beat the Packers in the NFC Championship without him doing anything. You could put a gorilla back there and play quarterback that could just hand off the ball 8 times, and they'd be able to win. I think that's a complete misperception of what's going on in the San Francisco 49ers. Whenever Jimmy G plays, they win. When Jimmy G doesn't play, they lose. That is just how it goes. And here's some stats about the old Jimmy G. I think that will, make people ease up on Jimmy G just because they were able to beat the hell out of the Packers without him having to throw the ball, which is smart football, by the way. Kyle Shanahan told Terry Bradshaw immediately after the game, why'd you only let Jimmy G throw the ball 8 times? He was like, well, they couldn't stop us. What do you want us to do? If you find a weakness in your opponent, you just beat the hell out of that until you win the game. That's just what a smart person does. If I play you in ping pong and I realize that you don't have a backhand, guess where that ball is going every single time I get? Is that boring? Yes, it might be boring for you. It might be boring for people watching, but all I know is you're getting skunked and you're getting whitewashed, and this game is over at 11 points. This is just how you compete and how you beat people, and I think Jimmy G has been taking a lot of shots because of the way they decided to beat the Packers. Here's some fun facts. He has the best fourth quarter QBR in the NFL. That's when you're clutch time, that is the clutch gene that you talk about a quarterback. He had the best record for a QB in the Super Bowl era currently with at least 25 starts, 23-2. Remember, he had that 5-0 start. That's whenever this San Francisco 49er push happened 2 years ago. Then he zigzagged and tore his ACL, and he was out, and they stunk. He comes back. Now they're not Super Bowl favorites, but they're in the Super Bowl. He is the highest passer rating when they trail in the NFL. So whenever you need him to throw, whenever he has to make a play, normally when you're trailing, you go to a throw. That's what happened with the Titans against the Chiefs. They went away from the run because they didn't think they could keep up with Patrick Mahomes. Ryan Tannehill had to throw all over the place. That's just one example of what happens when you're trailing. You have to throw. When the Niners are trailing, Jimmy G has the highest passer rating. So whenever he has to throw, he can do it. In that Saints game, he went shot for shot with Drew Brees. I think Jimmy G is not getting enough credit in this whole thing because of how dominant their defense is, because of how dominant their running game was this past weekend. I don't think Jimmy G's getting enough credit or respect. With that being said, I don't think he can keep up with Patrick Mahomes. Well, hello there. Utilize the promo code PAYTHEBILLS and get $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Now, back to the magic. But I am tired of people saying that Jimmy G isn't a good quarterback because he bought into what his team needed him to do to win. Instead of being a selfish guy and checking out of runs and calling throws, which quarterbacks do, which is something that happens, especially whenever you're close to the end zone, a quarterback checking out of a run to a pass is something that selfish quarterbacks do because they have incentives based on how well they throw the ball. Instead, he just understood that all the team needed him to do that particular day was hand the ball off. George Kittle understood that all they need you to do today is pancake the hell out of people. That is something called buying in and being a good teammate, and I think Jimmy G does not get enough respect for that.
I was going to say that he should be commended, praised for how little they run, and then how good he is when they do pass, because as a lot of athletes, you get a rhythm and stuff like that, and you shouldn't be punished for how good your team is at running the football. He's
getting mocked for being a quarterback right now because how much money he's making and all this stuff, but how good they are running. It's like, what do you want Jimmy G to do? You want Jimmy G to tell Kyle Shanahan to stop devising incredible running plans? Like, what do you want the guy to do? I assume in the next couple of years at some point, Jimmy G will be near the top of the leaderboard for passing, and this will all just be something that we'll say. You remember, they used to say Jimmy G wasn't a good quarterback because of how good the run game was. It's just like, if you can beat the hell out of somebody like that, why not do that?
I don't know if it's just recency bias or what, because their run game has won them the last 2 games and it's been so dominant, but no one was saying this during the season. Like, their passing offense was explosive all year.
George Kittle.
Yeah, exactly. And Deebo Samuel and Emmanuel Sanders. Yep. Like, they're not just a bunch of chumps in the passing game.
And by the way, if you're listening to this, you might not have been disrespecting Jimmy G. So you might be like, why is he yelling at me for this? These are people that are speaking into microphones other places. I don't like that Jimmy G is not getting enough respect for this whole thing.